Being frozen alive isn't a nice way to go. Just ask Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining. However, it is also an excellent preservative, preserving specimens of prehistoric plants and animals almost perfectly, much to the delight of today's scientists. It's always exciting to discover something so old in ice, but there are discoveries that shock even the most seasoned of scientists. Here are 10 shocking animals frozen in ice. Number 1 is one of those if you didn't see it you wouldn't believe it type of deal, so you better stay tuned for that one. With all that said and done, let's begin, shall we? Number 10. Alligators. If I were to ask you what animals can survive being frozen in ice, I bet that alligators would be the last thing that will come to your mind. After all, they are cold-blooded creatures, and logic states that they would be the least tolerant of the cold, right? Well, prepare to be wrong on that one. Back in January of 2019, North Carolina experienced record low temperatures, so much so that even ponds and lakes were frozen over. People at the Swamp Park and Ocean Isle Beach were understandably worried about the 18 American alligators that they kept in the park. So they checked them out, and they were pleasantly surprised with what they saw. All 18 alligators were definitely under the ice, with just their snouts poking out of the ice. Remarkably, all of them were alive. Apparently, when the water or air temperatures dip too low for them to be active, the cold-blooded reptiles go into a state of brumation, which is a hibernation-like state for reptiles. As soon as the ice thawed, the gators went about their business, kinda like nothing happened. Number 9. A snapping turtle. It seems that alligators aren't the only reptiles capable of surviving being frozen in ice. Turtles are pretty capable of doing that just as well. While hiking in a wooded area near Marvell in Phillips County, Arkansas, a group of duck hunters spotted something moving under a frozen lake. Curious as to what it is, they came closer to take a look. Jonathan Evans, one of the hunters, estimates the turtle to be at 2.5 to 3 feet long. And since he was the smallest and the lightest of the group, he was the one who took a selfie with the frozen creature. For anyone wondering how turtles can survive under ice, a cold turtle in cold water has a slow metabolism and it breathes through its butt. Alright, the mature technical term is actually cloacal respiration, and it can help turtles survive underwater for well over 100 days. Quite an unusual way to breathe, but hey, as long as it works. I'm still gonna say it breathes out of its butt though. Number 8. A fox. Never go walking on thin ice. That old adage doesn't only apply to us humans, but to animals as well. If you don't heed that advice, well, you might just end up looking like this poor animal on our list. Somewhere in Germany, one poor fox decided to walk casually on one of the frozen lakes. Unfortunately, the lake wasn't completely frozen over, so the fox fell into the frigid water. Falling into frozen water is bad enough, but the temperatures that day were so low the water around the fox quickly froze solid. The foxicle, yes I went there, was found by a local hunter named Franz Stell. By the time he came upon the fox, it was so frozen that it was impossible to know when it fell into the water. He came back the next day armed with a chainsaw and cut the poor animal out of the ice. He then, quite controversially, put the frozen fox on display in front of a small hotel that he owned, to serve as a warning to everybody the dangers of walking on frozen lakes. I mean, it is kind of a bad move, but hey, if it works. Number 7. A woolly mammoth. Ice is an amazing natural preservative, as I said. If something is frozen in ice and is kept frozen, chances are any animal or plant matter will stay perfectly preserved for an indefinite amount of time. Because of this, Siberia's permafrost has yielded numerous frozen prehistoric animal specimens, much to the delight of scientists. But one day in 2007, scientists weren't expecting to find this, a perfectly preserved carcass of a baby woolly mammoth. The mammoth died around 10,000 years ago in the frozen tundra of northern Russia, until it was discovered by reindeer herder Yuri Kuti in May 2007 near the Urabay River in Russia's Yalmanet Autonomous District in a virtually inaccessible part of northwestern Siberia. The mammoth was so perfectly preserved that it had no defects except for the tail being lopsided. Alexei Tikhonov, one of a group of international experts who examined the mammoth, and said that in terms of its state of preservation, this is the world's most valuable discovery. Number 6. A woolly rhinoceros. In September of 2014, 2 hunters boating down a stream in Siberia noticed some wavy auburn fur poking out of the permafrost. They initially thought that it was a reindeer, but thought that it didn't look quite right. After realizing their mistake, they dug up the animal from the thawing soil, and before them was the frozen body of a baby woolly rhinoceros. Not knowing what to do with it, they kept the body over the winter, but eventually decided to turn it over to the Sakha Republic Academy of Sciences. Given the name of Sasha, she is one of the few woolly rhinos yet discovered, and the only calf. Experts estimate she was just 18 months old when she died. Her discovery should help researchers better understand woolly rhinos' living conditions, how they developed as they grew, and how they are related to living rhino species. Even though some Siberian predator has chewed off Sasha's backside, the half that was buried in permafrost is largely intact. In addition to the skeletal leg, torso, and head, the calf has an ear, an eye, teeth, 2 horns, and a big flap of wool-covered skin. Perhaps most important, it might also still contain DNA. If scientists can recover an intact sample, they'll be able to determine which species of living rhino is most closely related to the extinct woolies. Number 5. The biggest penguin. Like, ever. The remoteness and harshness of Antarctica makes it one of the least explored places on Earth. That's why scientists think that the frozen continent is hiding many secrets just waiting to be discovered. We're slowly getting to know the continent better though, thanks to the permafrost yielding some of its secrets in the past few years. And this is one such secret. A penguin species that lived millions of years ago would have dwarfed today's biggest living penguins and stood as tall as most humans, according to analysis of fossils by a team of researchers from La Plata Museum in Argentina. Peludibits Klakowski has already been dubbed the colossus penguin and is the most complete fossil ever uncovered from the Antarctic. Also, I know I butchered that name, it is spelled really weird. The unearthed bones are 37 million years old and include the longest recorded fused ankle foot bone as well as parts of a wing bone. The gigantic bird was 6.5 feet tall and weighed 250 pounds, completely dwarfing the emperor penguin, which is the largest living penguin by about 3 feet. Number 4. An 18,000-year-old puppy. Puppies are cute, even when they're 18,000 years old and buried in permafrost. Discovered in 2018 in Siberia's far eastern reaches, this 18,000-year-old puppy was buried for centuries before it was finally unearthed. The fur, skeleton, teeth, head, lashes, and the whiskers of the pup named Dogor are still intact, but scientists don't know whether it is a dog or wolf. Many scientists say dogs evolved about hair perish even before they were able to suckle from their mother, which gives rise to the possibility that they were abandoned right after birth. It also means they were only about 1 or 2 days old when they died, which is really sad in itself. These two are not, however, the only preserved cubs to be found frozen in permafrost. Another older cub found this year and revealed to the world last month shows another intriguing truth about this extinct species. This cub died at the age of between 1 and 2 months old up to 50,000 years ago on the bank of Tirakithith River in the Abiski district of Yucatia. Analysis is only now beginning on it, but the cub's coloring indicates that the species, known only until these discoveries by skeletons, was an unexpected color compared with modern-day big cats. With this discovery, scientists will now have a better idea on what these prehistoric big cats actually look like. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Today we're going to be looking at a photo that looks so unlikely you're definitely going to doubt its veracity. Let's look at it next with number 2. A hippopotamus. Today's best pick is a bit weird. Well, almost all of our best picks have been weird, but this one is weirder than most. The photo shows a poor hippo frozen solid in the lake that it called home. But the question remains, could a hippo be actually frozen in ice, and is this photo real? Well, not quite. You see, hippos generally live in areas where winters aren't that harsh. In fact, these places rarely see snow at all, if any. While it's true that global warming is doing weird stuff to our climate, it hasn't come to the point where rivers and lakes freeze over in places where they usually don't. So more than likely, this is a doctored photo. That's not saying there aren't any frozen hippos out there buried beneath the permafrost. Scientists have discovered a lot of weird stuff in ice, so the possibility of one lost hippo who somehow found its way into the Siberian wasteland and got frozen because it's not used to the cold is definitely there. Highly unlikely, but still a possibility. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. Number 1. Fighting moose. Fighting over the right to mate with another is some sort of a priority in the animal kingdom. Something that takes precedence to, let's say, your own life. Nothing shows us more than the discovery of 2 moose which were stuck permanently in mortal combat, encased in about 8 inches of ice in Unalakleet, Alaska, along the Bering Sea. They were discovered in 2019 by two hikers who were unsurprisingly amazed by what they found. The moose most likely were battling over territory or access to a female when they got their antlers stuck together. Males tend to be most aggressive toward each other during the fall mating season. There's a good chance they drowned in the frigid water, which quickly hardened to ice as temperatures dropped. Bill Samuel, a retired biologist and moose expert at the University of Alberta in Canada, says he has never seen anything quite like it, though he is aware that the strength of the powerful animals and irregular shapes of their antlers can occasionally result in tangling that the animals can't escape. Entangled moose skulls have been found occasionally, but it's the first time in recent memory that any have been found in ice. Have you ever discovered something shocking frozen in ice? Let us know in the comment section down below. Want to watch more videos about amazing discoveries? Click on any of the videos you see on your screen. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.